Ho buddies, welcome to Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing Chaos Head. We're right in the middle of Moon and Sun route, the Moon and Sun route, where we're going to be exploring Yua's perspective when she's investigating Takumi. She is currently with Ban and Moma. Is that her name? Masomi? Something, I don't know. And she's having a flashback to when her sister was alive. Let's go. Let us go. First came a memory from when the two had still been in elementary school. One day, some relatives had brought the girls a single large teddy bear as a present. In contrast to the raw joy Yua displayed, Mia insisted that she did not like stuffed animals and proceeded to not even so much as look the plush's way. Both her relatives and parents were upset that Mia was not with Mia for not acting as a child should. But despite Mia's protesting, Yua whispered to her that the two of them could share it, that it could be something they both could treasure. However, in the response to her sister's kindness, Mia simply said that she did not want it, and that Yua could have it. About a month later, when Yua had grown tired of the teddy bear, she woke up in the night and happened to witness a certain scene. With an incredibly joyful look on her face, Mia was hugging and talking to the bear plushie. That was the first time Yua had ever seen her sister so happy. And from this, she realised that her sister's insistence about disliking stuffed animals had been a lie. Mia had been keeping her own feelings hidden for the sake of her older sister. The next day, Yua found a lovely drawing of a bear beneath Mia's pillow. Until her sister grew tired of the teddy bear, Mia had been hugging and sleeping with the drawing in lieu of it. Things very similar to this happened again and again over all the 18 years they'd spent together. For the birthday celebrations, Yua had always blown the candles out on the cake, but when Mia was prompted to do it, she would say, "I refuse to do something so ridiculous," angering her parents. Yua advanced to the private high school Sumai Academy. Mia, meanwhile, had been misbehaving at school, deliberately scoring low on exams and thereby moved on to a public high school. Due to the exorbitant fees, their parents would only be able to afford sending one of them to a private school. No matter how hard Yua would try to let her sister have something, Mia would always gain the upper hand and force Yua to be prioritized. To achieve this end, she'd even intentionally took a dislikable attitude. To the very end, I took advantage of Mia-chan's kindness. Before now, I only ever thought of myself. After Mia-chan passed away, I couldn't help but think that there must have been something I could have done for her, and I felt so much regret. I wish that I could have died in her place. And even after everything, to think our parents forgot that she even existed. It's all too much. It's too sad for me to take. Yua, having now reached her limit, could no longer squeeze out any more words. She took off her glasses, pressed her fingers against the corners of her eyes, and broke down in tears. Momose is what her name is. Sat down beside her and gently rubbed her back. Well, it sounds like Yua-chan's has been investigating this incident on her own. Also, she can find out what happened to Mia-chan.
None of that's easy. Must be really hard on her.
And in the process, she was able to identify a certain individual.
Huh?
As Momose held Yua's shoulders, she turned her eyes towards Ban.
Nishijo Takumi-kun.
Ah, I see now.
Stroking the stubble on his chin, Ban leaned forward from the sofa.
At some point or other, or another, I did hear about the non-stop pursuit starring Nishijo and a high school girl. A detective from another jurisdiction let me know. Might that have been you, Yua-chan?
Yua nodded apologetically.
Interesting. Very interesting. Would you mind telling me more? Actually, I was going to ask if you could tell me more, but I've got to duck out for a minute here.
With a strange smile, Ban lightly bowed his head to Yua and Momose. His words had been interrupted by the cell phone in his suit pocket. He swiftly took out the phone and checked the screen. Sua's name was displayed across it.
Yeah? What you need, kid?
Sir, the Seventh's here.
What'd you just say?
Sua's voice sounded strained. The sounds of investigators frantically scurrying about could be heard through the phone. Sua must have been at the investigation headquarters.
The 7th New Gen incident happened.
Ban's eyes opened wide, and his expression turned bitter as his teeth sank into his lip. Sensing the seriousness of the situation from his behaviour, Momose and Yua watched the detective with unease.
3 Vics. Apparently they were buddies.
All 3 were sliced in half at the torso. The upper and lower halves were then swapped around, and then using synthetic fibre, well, fishing line to be specific. The mismatched halves were sewn together. They also had wounds on their foreheads in the shapes of the letters Q, D, and N.
Some kind of message.
No clue. It doesn't end there either.
The autopsy found something pretty interesting. The severed parts of the Vic's torsos weren't split by a saw, knife, or any other kind of sharp object.
Then, how'd they end up in half?
Apparently they were torn apart by some strong force.
Torn apart?
Ban repeated Sua's words back to him with a low groan, then roughly scratched his head with the handle of his fan.
Like a monster did it, or like one of those wizards that are real popular nowadays.
Oh, I see, that's Ban.
Sir, are you being serious?
Sorry, but it doesn't matter how big of a movie buff I am. I just don't see myself agreeing with...
Oh, that's the other guy?
I just don't see myself agreeing with that opinion.
I'm just making a comparison, you schmuck. Never mind that. Just get back to investigating.
After barking that order to Sua, Ban ended the call. By the time you were finished up with Ban and Momose and left Frisia, the sky had long since been covered by a thick veil of darkness. During the time she'd spent there, you had explained all the suspicions she had gathered from her investigation of Nishijiro Takumi. Ban was the detective and Momose was the head of a private investigation agency. If you could get the two of them on her side, then perhaps Nishijiro Takumi would finally be arrested. That was what Yua had been hoping for. Nishijiro Takumi needed to be arrested. Yua had sympathy for the boy's painful circumstances, so she would have preferred it if he had turned himself into the authorities. But since he'd refused to do so, she had no choice but to get the police involved. That had been her plan at any rate. But much to her surprise, Detective Ban had told her that Nishijiro Takumi had been removed from the list of suspects. Yua found this news absolutely unbelievable. She did not want to accept it. Why had her theory been dismissed? It was blatantly obvious that Nishijiro Takumi was behind New Gen. Biting down hard on her lip, Yua increased her pace as she hurried toward the station. She had to return home as quickly as possible, investigate the case from top to bottom and find some conclusive evidence. And with that evidence, she'd be able to prove her theory correct to Detective Ban.
Whoa. Is that who I think it is, Little Miss Kusunoki?
The sudden sound of a name startled Yua, stopping her dead in her tracks. The words of her homeroom teacher came to mind. Shibuya has become all too dangerous lately. Women really shouldn't be out alone at night right now. Remembering that warning, Yua froze completely. The voice she just heard belonged to a rather friendly-looking young man. Is it Sua?
Yes, it is. Let's see. What was your first name again? Yua-chan, right? Do I know you?
She felt like she'd seen him somewhere before, but at that moment could not remember exactly where.
Well, you don't remember. It's me, Suamamori. Here, check it.
Making sure that only Yua could see it, the man took out his police badge and showed it to her, then quickly shoved it back inside his suit pocket.
After the group dive went down, I paid your family a visit. Real nice people, all of them. We talked about all kinds of stuff, and I know for a fact you joined in too.
My apologies, I remember now. Thank you for coming to talk with us back then. Yua bowed her head. The incident had really shaken her to her core, so much so that she genuinely could not recall Sua's face. However, their talk back then had indeed helped Yua sort out her thoughts regarding the bizarre nature of her sister's death, and for that she was truly grateful to him.
You were with Detective Ban just now, weren't you?
Is Ban-san an acquaintance of yours?
Well, we're in the same division of the TMPD, you see. He's my senior.
I swear, though, the guy can't go a day without laying into me about something. I'm sure talking to a nice young lady like yourself made him pretty happy, though. So maybe he'll give me a break today. This is just between you and me. When he said he'd be meeting with you today, he had the creepiest smile on his face, and I love the guy and all, but I'm 99% sure he had something really dirty going on in that head of his. I wanted to tag along, but I had work to do on the investigation, you see. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I need to get in touch with your folks. I thought about heading to your house directly, but if only there was a better way. Why'd you need to contact them? Oh, nothing crazy. It's just about the group dive. We discovered that the culprit may have left something behind. What? Really? It was the first Yua had heard of this. With all hesitation now evaporated, she stepped closer to Sua. Yep, the mass media recently spotted it at the scene of another incident, so it's picked up quite a bit of steam already. Can you guess what it is? You're never gonna believe it. But it was a Darth Spider helmet. Was the group dive culprit wearing that as well? Yep. Remember that video of the incident that popped up online? After we got back the analysis, it became clear as day. By the way, speaking of Darth Spider, there was this huge uproar in Shibuya about some Esper boy. He made the news and everything. If I remember right, his name was Nishijo Takumi, I think. You gotta wonder, why would that Nishijo guy have a Darth Spider helmet just like the guy behind the group dive did? Sua planting some seeds there. The moment she heard those words, dark impulses began to flood Yua's heart. She'd been completely convinced. She'd only begun feeling it a few moments ago, that all she needed was one piece of evidence, of decisive evidence. One piece to prove herself to Ban and Momose, and now she had it. Well, I've got to head to Frisia now, so if you'll excuse me, miss. Heh. And with that, Sua waved goodbye and left. All by herself now, Yua stared down at the pavement, utterly paralysed. It was him. Her murmurs were to no one but herself. He did it. He did it after all. He had to be the one who did it. He did it. Without a doubt. He killed my little sister. He killed Mia. She's got it wrong. How do we tell her that she's got it wrong? Neidhart has entered the room. Interesting. So this is from Takumi's perspective again. Hey, Neidhart-kun. I've been waiting for you, because there's been another nude gen. What are you even on about? Insert ASC2 art here. A new gen, dude. What the fuck do you think I'm on about? How exactly did we go from new gen to nude gen? New generation, new gen, new gen, new gen? Come on, that shit's obvious. Use common sense, for fuck's sake. More importantly, there's a seventh case. Seventh case. It had happened again. Another new gen. How long was this damn thing gonna go on for? Was I next? Would I be the victim of the 8th case? The 9th? Anxiety aside, Grim was pretty much the new gen news guy at this point. He'd been keeping me in the loop about basically everything. Even now, he was going out of his way to link a bunch of blog posts and news articles about it. Seemed like he really wanted me to take a look. Biting my lip, I reluctantly clicked the first link. There we go. It is I, Anonymous. It says DQN. Literally zero connection to the other cases. Police are dumb as fuck, Raffle. Yeah, okay, we saw this last time, right? At approximately 4:50 this morning, near a railroad in Shibuya, a passing newspaper salesman discovered the bodies of 3 male homicide victims suspended from an iron pole. The police investigation discovered that the victims were all residents of Shibuya. Fujita Kohai, unemployed, and Zawa Shibuya, a college student, and Takagi Ryo, a construction worker. Each victim had been severed in half at the waist. Their upper and lower bodies had been interchanged with one another and stitched back together with thread. There were also mysterious wounds carved into their foreheads, and the police are investigating the possibility that they may be a message left by the culprit. The authorities believe the case is part of a series of grotesque murders that have been occurring in Shibuya over the past 2 months. The investigation is ongoing. At the end of the news clip, photographs of the 3 victims were shown. I had seen those faces before. It's them. The guys who beat me up yesterday. I'd given them my wallet, but they'd kicked my ass anyway. I'd then fallen unconscious, and when I woke up, Kozupi was beside me. The 3 of them had been collapsed on the ground, covered in blood. I dug my wallet out from my pocket and stared at it intently. When I came to, Kozupi had been carrying it, and she'd given it back to me somehow after that. Could the person who'd killed those 3 be? No, definitely not. The last time I'd seen them, they'd been beaten to a pulp and covered in blood, but they hadn't been cut in half or anything. Which would mean they'd been killed after Kozupi and I had left. It had to have been Shogun after all. Was he trying to provoke me? Was I next? Would I be the one next to die? It was also possible that Shogun had could show up in person again. He seemed to be playing with me like it was some kind of game after all. Maybe he'd feel like sending me on another quest soon. Just the thought alone terrified me. Remy, save me, please. Where did you go? Weren't you supposed to protect me? Is it going to be Yua? Just now there'd been a knock at the door. Someone was there. I looked at the clock on my PC. It was past 8 PM. Who in their right mind would show up this late? Wait, Remy, it had to be her. She'd finally come to save me. She'd said that she would stay by my side, hadn't she? So it only makes sense that she'd come back to me. Would it have killed her to come a little earlier, though? Feeling like my salvation was at hand, I practically threw myself at the door. I then removed the padlock and opened the door. I tried to call out Remy's name, but a hand suddenly clamped my mouth shut. Panic instantly overwhelmed me. I didn't even have the chance to see who it was. I tried forcing the hand off of my mouth. Before I could, my attacker threw all their weight against me and I staggered backward. Still, I desperately tried to stand my ground. I flailed my arms around wildly. I'll take that again. No, I won't. I flailed my arms around wildly, thinking it had somehow helped me break their grasp. I then opened my mouth wide and bit down on their hand as hard as I could.
Ugh.
But despite that, my attacker remained silent. They weren't even phased. I'd bitten down with all my strength, so they must have been in pain, but they still didn't let go. They pressed against me even harder, causing me to lose my balance. No longer able to resist, I fell to the floor with him on top of me. The back of my head hit the ground so hard I nearly lost consciousness. My vision started to go blurry, and I could tell how exactly I'd landed. And to top it off, the assailant was still covering my mouth, so tightly in fact that I could barely breathe. My consciousness was starting to fade, so before I blacked out, I desperately tried to get a glimpse of the person who'd attacked me. There she is. Yua! Oh god, I'd completely forgotten about her. I was so focused on Shogun. His #1 underling slipped my mind. Realizing that, the sheer terror sent shivers down my entire body. I struggled as hard as I could, desperately trying to escape. But under the full weight of her body, I couldn't move an inch. Under normal circumstances, I would have been focused on the fact that our bodies were pressed together, but I lacked the capacity for that right now. Now wasn't the time to be drooling over female contact. There was only one thing on my mind. I needed to get away somehow, or she'd kill me. Blood trickled out of Yua's hand where I'd bitten her. Even so, she kept pressing down with all her might, her grip just as intense as when she'd first grabbed hold of me. She was trying relentlessly to keep my jaw shut, to the point where her nails were digging into my cheeks. A sharp stabbing pain pierced through my body. It was you. Her mutters came between ragged breaths, much to my horror. I had to keep resisting, so I grabbed Yua's long hair and pulled hard. Ah! But Yua still didn't budge. All she did was grimace. Using her free hand, she gripped my hand tightly and dug in her nails once again. The immense pain forced me to let go, and then using that tiny opening, she pinned my hands to the floor. It was you, wasn't it? It was you! Yua's glasses had slipped down her nose during the fight. Tears were welling up behind them, likely from the pain of me pulling her hair. Just like that day at Shota Park, she was staring right through me with those cold, sharp eyes. You... killed... What the hell was she talking about? Was it the same bullshit as always, calling me the new gen killer? I haven't killed anyone. You came here to kill me, you dumb bitch. I tried to glare back at Yua, but hers was just too terrifying to confront. Nothing good could come from making eye contact with dangerous people, and I soon came to realize how true that was, how unhinged a look could really be. I looked away, wishing from the depths of my soul that I'd wake up from this nightmare, but don't you dare look away. Yua brought her face even closer. I could feel her ragged breaths on my cheeks. Look at me. With how close she was, it was practically impossible to look anywhere else. Her breath was incredibly hot. I wanted to headbutt her, but Yua was pressing down so hard I couldn't even lift my head off the floor. It's alright. I'll tell you. I'll tell you all about the other you that even you aren't aware of. There is another you inside you. DID. Multiple personalities, in other words. When we were at cafe, Yua had said the same thing. But that was just some stupid fucking delusion of hers. Didn't know shit. And she sure as hell didn't know me better than I did. Nishijoe-kun, do you still not know? Are you really not aware of it? Are you thinking I'll let you go if you pretend not to know? I've warned you countless times, so why won't you listen? There's another you inside you, Shogun, as you call it, and that you is doing unspeakable, unforgivable things. And I can't let it go any longer. I won't let even one more person be killed. You must go to the hospital and get help immediately, and if you refuse, I'll hand you over to the police. If you leave Shogun to his own devices,
then all of his crimes will be on you, Ishijiro-kun. You'd be complicit in the murders. You need to understand that. I don't need to understand shit. You understand, don't you? I didn't fucking kill anyone. If you don't understand, then we have a problem. I don't have multiple personalities. You have no choice but to understand. That's the kind of shit you only see in anime and manga and shit. This is real life. I don't have DID, goddammit. Come out. I want to speak with you. You can hear me, can't you, Shogun? I'm not Shogun. You've got the wrong guy. Shogun is someone else. Have you ever met him, for fuck's sake? He uses a wheelchair. He appears out of thin air, like some kind of ghost. He's always reading my mind like some sick fucking pervert. And despite having the voice of a kid, he's covered in wrinkles like an old man. He's my enemy. Don't lump him in with me. Don't lump me in with him. Don't lump me in with him. Just the thought makes me want to puke. Wait, wasn't you supposed to be Shogun's underling? I could have sworn she was working for him. But it really did seem like she genuinely had me and Shogun mixed up. Relax, Ishijiro-kun. I just want you to go to sleep for a little while. Let Shogun take control of your body. Even if I do go to sleep, that won't fucking happen. I don't have multiple personalities, you stupid fucking bitch. I tried my hardest to say all that to her, but since her hand was still pressed firmly against my mouth, the best I could do was make a bunch of muffled groans. Come out. Come out, Shogun. Come out now. Won't you come out? I know you can come out. You want to come out, don't you? Come out now. Murderer. Tears began to fall from my eyes. I lost all will to resist. All remaining strength left my body. I was so tired. Why? Why did I have to deal with this psycho? Why did I have to listen to all this bullshit she spewed at me? What had I done to deserve this? This was just too much. All because this delusional stalker had come to the wrong conclusion, and now no one would save me. All because I just read that. Was I going to die? By her hands? Even if I didn't, even if I made it through today, there'd be no guarantee I'd survive tomorrow. Shogun could still show up at any time. Would I have to live the rest of my life in fear? Please. I didn't want that. I didn't want to live like that. I'd rather go insane and then get locked up in some mental facility somewhere. I'd rather die right here, right now. Why are you crying? Yua slowly began to remove her hand from my mouth, and then she started lifting herself off me. As soon as her weight was completely off, I felt instant relief. Has Shogun come out yet? I shook my head lifelessly. I can't do it anymore. Just kill me. I won't kill you. I won't let you get killed either. You'll atone for your crimes. And you'll reveal the truth. I won't let you escape. Not even through death. I won't allow it. I won't allow that to happen. Shogun is somebody else. He's the new gen culprit. You are Shogun. It's you. It can't be anyone else but you. My words had gone in one ear and out the other. She refused to listen to me. She was completely convinced that she knew the truth. And we'll see if she listens to us next time on Borderline Games. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Chaos Head, and I'll see you next time. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. Bye. 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 Bye.